Okay, there we go. Okay guys, that should be the mic situation sorted. Thank you all for bearing with me. Just let me know if you can hear me and we will get started with this live stream. Again, thank you all for your patience. If you can, just let me know in the comment section down below, and then we'll get started. So just for now, what I will do is start off by talking a little bit about what this live stream is going to be all about. So this live stream is a game dev question and answer session. In addition to this, we're also going to be showing you how you can set up some really cool stylized lighting inside of Unreal Engine 4. We are going to be using my game Ember Vein as a reference for this, so you can see a stylized world with our stylized lighting. We're going to be going through step by step how we can create everything from the lights, the fog, the post-processing, to even sort of looking into some things like color theory to get the look that we want. With this being a question and answer session, guys, if you do have any questions, even if it isn't about lighting, if it is about game development, just let us know in the chat down below and I will be asking and answering all of those questions. I'd also like to say a massive thank you to everyone that has tuned into this live stream already. A big shout out to Firebob, Kiwi, MR3D Dev, Commando, Abdullah, and everyone else that is in here already. So with that said, now that I've explained what this live stream is, I just wanted to take a moment to talk about our Patreon. Our Patreon is what makes live streams and all of the courses like this possible. If you want to support the channel and help me make more videos like this, be sure to check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. You can earn yourself some really sweet rewards. And that can be anything from early access to our videos, project files for you to download, and even one-to-one session time with myself, if that is something that you want. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to my moderators that are watching this live stream and going through some of the questions from you guys. So the next thing that I wanted to go over is our game jam. I am hosting a game jam in December. It is going to be the very first, or the first proper game jam of 2020 that is done by the dev squad. It is going to be our biggest yet. We have got a whole bunch of prizes lined up that are going to be going out to the winners of this game jam. It is going to be voted on the community as well, so when it ends at the end of December, that is going to be going straight out. If you want to check out our game jam, the link for that is going to be placed into the description below. If you also want to access this and get early access to information on the game jam, make sure you do go ahead and check us out on social media. The links for our Facebook and our Twitter and even our Discord are down in the description down below. If you want to meet other developers like yourselves, aspiring game developers that is, then be sure to check out our Discord. We have got over 5,000 other members. You can use it to build a team, or even just meet new friends, or even ask questions about game dev. Get help with your project. Like I said, the link for that is on the screen, and it's also in the description as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into Unreal Engine 4. So what I'm going to be doing, like I said, is I'm going to be going into this scene that I've got here, and I'm going to be creating the composition that you can see on the thumbnail for this video. So that is going to be the fog, the light, the colors, and all of that good stuff. And if you take a look at my Unreal Engine here, what I've done is I've taken the world that we're using for Ember Vein at the minute, and I have taken this and I've removed pretty much all of the light apart from some of the smaller lights that you can see in the scene here. So having said that, we are going to be building the scene from the ground up. That's going to be the directional light, the fog, the skylight. We are going to be going through all of this in this live stream. So when it comes to lighting, the very first thing we want to do is make sure that we have got this set to our lit mode so we can see what the end result of this is going to be like. Once that's done, what we're going to do is start off by going over to our select mode. We are going to go into there, and then we're going to go into our lights, and then we are going to be taking our directional light. We are going to be taking this directional light, just dragging and dropping it into our scene just like this, just to give us a little bit of initial light like that. Now, if we want to change this to something that looks like the image, we need a bit of a nighttime kind of view. So what we're going to do is, first and foremost, we're going to rotate our directional light. We're going to dim this down, and we're also going to play around with the colors a little bit as well, so that we can get it to look like the reference. So the first thing we're going to do is go over to our light color. We are going to give this a slightly blue tone, so it's got that cool color that you get from a moon. And then we are going to press OK. So you can see all of my color settings here. If this is something that you guys want to follow along with, you can. All you've got to do is just copy this video. You are also going to be able to You're also going to be able to see this video once it is turned into a video on YouTube. It's not just going to be a live stream, it's also something that you're going to be able to follow along later on as well. So this is my cool tone for our directional light. Now, what we're also going to be doing is taking the intensity of this, and we are going to be turning it right down. We're going to be setting this to about 2 or 3, so it's a little bit more subtle. We don't want our scene to be too light because it is nighttime. We need to have that dark feeling. So with that set to 3, what we're then going to look at next is the placement. Do you want this to be midnight? If you do want it to be midnight, then you want to have the sun coming from right above you. If you want to have it sort of in the middle of the night or the middle of the morning-ish, then you are going to want to rotate this. But more importantly, what you want to do here, if you've got your moon, you want to make it line up with our moon. As you can see in my scene here, I have already got a moon. This is essentially just a flat 2D texture that I've put onto a plane and then just put into the scene. If I go ahead and turn my camera speed up, fly right over to this, you can see that it is just an effect just like that. And you can download textures for stuff like this as well, if this is something that you're after. As someone just said in the chat, nighttime lighting is incredibly difficult. It is, and hopefully by the time you've watched this video, you are going to have a better understanding of how you can really master the look of this. So what we're going to do is match up our shadows here so they actually follow our moon position. So we are going to select our directional light. You can see our moon is coming from over there. So what we want is our shadows to face this way over here. So we're just going to rotate this round until we get something that looks a little bit like this. So now we have got some very basic light here in our scene, which is quite nice. But what you're going to notice is that the shadows are very, very harsh. So this is where we're going to be using a skylight to soften these up. So if I go ahead and drag a skylight into my scene, what I can then do is take this skylight and I can increase the intensity or the light color if that's something that you want to do, just to make this a little bit softer. If it's not showing up, chances are you are going to have to go in and build the lighting for your level. So after you place that directional light, then build your level. So we're going to give this a couple of seconds and we're going to be able to carry on with our skylight. In the meantime, guys, if you could go ahead and drop a like on this video, I would really appreciate it. It helps my videos get discovered with this brand new YouTube algorithm. Also, if you are a first-time viewer, be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. So our lighting is well on the way under here, so we can take a look at this. Luckily for me, I have got a Threadripper CPU, so I can pretty much just churn through this very quickly. So let's just go ahead and take a look at some of the questions in the chat while this is building. So, loving the assets, do you mind showing them or is it a secret? With the assets, they are from Ember Vein. This is the game that myself and the Verta Studios team are working on, and this is for an upcoming release, a game that we haven't released yet. It's not something that I can share with you guys, but there is lots of assets on the Unreal Engine 4 marketplace that you can download and use if that's something that you want to do. What you really want to be taking away from this video more than anything is the way that we're setting up the lighting, how we're getting that composition to have a nice stylized look and feel. We have got a lot of comments here saying they love the channel, so thank you to all of you guys, such as Bavis. It's really nice to, you know, get appreciated for all of the stuff that I do. We've got another one here. Antonia throws lots of hearts and likes into the stream. That is awesome. Another question we have got is about the FPS tutorial series. The FPS tutorial series, the original one, is as of right now finished. There is over 50 videos in there already. So that's everything from some basic AI to setting up weapons with reloading, different models, and all of that good stuff. If you want anything further, what I want you guys to do is go over to my new FPS series that I've been developing. It's on the most recent of my channel. Drop comments on there just letting us know all of the different features that you want. With all of those documented in the comments, I can go in, I can take a look at those, and I can start to add this into the new series. So with our lighting done here, what we can now do is start to look at our skylight. Again, as I change this, it's not going up. So one thing that we've got to do is make sure that we have got a light mass importance volume. So what you want to do is go ahead and make sure you've got a light mass importance volume up here. And then if it's still not working, we can come back to that in a little bit. But for now, if we just open up our skylight, we go to our intensity, and we should be able to just turn this up and down. We can come back to this in just a second. The next thing that we're going to add into our scene is our atmospheric fog, which is going to give us the background color for our scene. So as you can see here, it's very quickly coming to life. With this atmospheric fog, we really want to change the colors. Now in the reference image, what we have is some blues in the background. Now when it comes to working with nighttime scenes, one thing that you really need to be looking at is making sure that the background color is relatively dark. If you have this too bright, it is going to feel like it's a daytime scene. It's not going to feel right. So what you want to do is have a nice dark color for this fog that we've got, for our atmospheric fog. And you're going to want to have something that looks a little bit like this. And with that done, the next thing that we need to do is actually combat the gradient that goes down towards the bottom of this, because we do not want it to have this bright sort of effect at the bottom. And the way we're going to do this is by going in, and we are going to be using Exponential Height Fog. And as you see, I just dropped that in there. You can see that it just went in and it's sort of starting to mask that. It's starting to get in the way. So if I take a look at my fog scattering color, I can change this and I can make this all kinds of different colors. And the sort of color that I went for in the composition that you saw was a bit of a bluey green, something a bit like that. Now, if you want it to really block out the skyline because you don't want to see this, is you can actually change the start distance. So if you wanted to, you can bring it closer. So you can see it's currently at 0. So that's as close as it's going to get. But what you can also do is increase the fog density, which is one really, really cool tool that we've got here. We can also change the fog max opacity. So if you want to have some nice strong fog, then you are going to want to have this set to 1. We can also just play around with these values until we get the look that we like. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be going between our fog, our volumetric fog, and I'm going to be going between the volumetric fog to try and get the look and feel that I am after. So with that having said, I'm going to open up my volumetric fog. If you can't find it, it's because it is our atmospheric. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my start distance and I'm actually going to be reducing this number down. I'm going to be turning my sun multiplier down as well because I don't want it to feel so bright. What we're then going to look at is increasing our density as well, so we get a nice dark color in there. We've also got our distance scale, which is a really cool tool that we can use here. We've also got a whole bunch of other stuff, such as our sun disk scale, but the main one I'm going to be taking a look at here is making the color of this much darker like that. So what you can probably see from our scene here is that we're really starting to bring this to life. We've got some colors into our scene, we've got some natural light on here, and we can really start adjusting things further. So what we're going to do now is quickly build the lighting to see how this is going to look for us. What you're also going to notice is now that I've got my fog into my scene, my skylight is going to work. And I'm going to be using this to adjust the shadows here. So I'm going to set my skylight to a value of 3 just to soften up those shadows a little bit. So having those soft shadows is going to give you a really stylized look, which is pretty awesome. So having done that, what I'm going to do is quickly build my lighting. Again, this is another awesome opportunity for me to answer some of the questions on the live stream. Thank you for the guy, Bahamarify, but just said thank you, just said, dude, you're awesome. Keep up the live stream. That's great. That's really cool. Best specs for Unreal Engine is another question that I've just had, which is a very important question. The specs that you recommend or Epic recommend for Unreal Engine are changing absolutely every time. And one thing I cannot stress enough when it comes to choosing the correct build for Unreal Engine is you want to have a computer that is going to be able to do what you need it to do. And not everyone wants to be able to do the same thing in Unreal Engine. Let's say you're making mobile games or 2D games, the requirements are not going to be that harsh. You are not going to have the latest RTX graphics card to make a mobile game. If it is something that you want to have for next gen, then you are going to want to have a better graphics card like an RTX so you can test all of the features that are going to be going onto these platforms. So myself, I have got an AMD Threadripper, so I've got loads of processing power, and this is going to allow me to do sort of some of the day-to-day running of the engine really smoothly. But the most important thing when it comes to game engines and game development is making sure that you've got a good graphics card and making sure you've also got good memory as well. So myself, I've got 32 gigabytes of memory. And the reason why having lots of memory is important is because you are going to have lots of textures, lots of assets, all open at once, and they need to be stored on that memory so that you can access them without any issues. If you're going to be building the lighting in big complex scenes, like the one that I've got here, the reason I can do it so fast is because I've got lots of processing cores. So again, I cannot stress enough, it honestly just comes down to what it is that you want to create inside of Unreal Engine. That is what is going to determine how you want it to be. For the chap that has just asked what graphics card that I'm running a GTX 970. I have had this graphics card for a little while now. I am very much due a upgrade. If you want something that's super cheap, super budget and entry level, a GTX 970 is not a bad option. But having said that, you can pick up things like a 1070 or a 1080 for not much more. Like I said, it honestly just comes down to your budget and your use case as well. So now that we're in our scene here, we can start to look further at creating our stylized scene. So what I'm going to do now is focus a little bit more on the skyline. So having said that, we're going to be making some more adjustments to the fog. What we're also going to be doing is just making sure that we haven't got more than one of the same fog actor. So with that done, we're going to be going into our Exponential Height Fog, which is going to be more in the background, and we're going to be changing some of these colors. As you saw there, it was too bright, so we're going to be making this nice and dark. So we're going to be taking our fog scattering color, and we're going to be setting it around here. So you can see the color that I've got. And again, you can play around with the density. If you want to turn this down, then you can. But this for me is a really nice value that I've got. Again, it does come down to what do you want your scene to look like. Now, one thing that I like to do is look at references in video games that are out there already. So one game that we have taken a lot of inspiration from for this city is Overwatch. And the level that I've been taking those references from is King's Row. So if I go ahead and bring some reference images onto the scene here, this is where I got the ideas around the blues and the greens. They're two really colors that just go really nicely into each other. But what you're going to notice and what you want to take away from these scenes is you don't have too much light on the foreground, on the assets that is. But what you do have is a lot of light sort of at the low end of this sky level, or the low end of the skyline, and then at the top end you want to keep this nice and dark, so that way you do not get too much clashing. You don't want to have something that's way too strong, and that is where we have done this. And if we take a look at scenes like this, where there is no view of the bottom skyline, because generally you're not going to have it, we have pretty much achieved this. What we're going to notice is that our assets are way too bright at the minute, so we are going to take our directional light intensity and we're going to turn this down. So we are going to set this down to a value of 0.5 to make this a little bit darker. And what you're going to notice now is when I do this, this is where you're going to see our skylight is really going to kick in, because what we're not having is areas that are going to be super dark. So we've still got some nice soft lighting in here while there is still some lighting. We've got the skylight, we've got the directional light, and then we've also used the fog to give us a nice kind of look that we've got here too. So in terms of the overall composition and colors, this is something that I'm pretty happy with at this point. When it comes to lighting, you can constantly do adjustments and adjustments and adjustments. Anyone that is on the Ember Vein team with myself will know that we have changed the lighting lots and lots of times. There's so many more things that we can do. So having said that, what we're going to do now is take a look at some of the decorative assets that we can modify to change the composition of our scene here. So that is going to be smaller things like our lamps and our windows. And I want to show you how important it is to change our temperatures so they all match, because if you have mixed matching temperatures in our foreground, it is going to look really weird. So if I go over to my references for King's Row again, you can see a lot of the lights in here, they're all quite warm. They don't go from a cool white or a daylight to a warm white. They're pretty much just all warm white in here. And this warm white contrasts really well with the skyline and the sky colors too. And that's why I've used a lot of oranges in here. And when it comes to orange, because it's a very warm light, it's very easy on the eyes. So having said that, what I can afford to do is make those really bright, to make them really pop out. And that's one of those really nice features that we have got with our stylized scenes. So I've got my lamp here. What I'm going to do is select or add a light if we haven't got one in there already. So I've got my light. I'm going to go into my lit view, and what I'm going to do, because this is just a point light, I can afford to turn this light up nice and bright. What I'm going to do is set my color to our whites here, so we've got a nice clean base to work with, and then I'm actually going to be using the temperature. The temperature is then going to allow me to determine just how warm this light is going to be. And by doing this, we can ensure that all of the lights that we have in the scene are all going to be a very similar temperature. And if we do a temperature like that for our street lamp that we've got, and then do the same thing for our windows that you can see here. So if I go into my window light, you can see it's very faint at the minute. What I can do is go in, I can set my light color back to a white, use my temperature, and then adjust this so it's a nice warm feeling just like that. So now if I look at this part of the scene, you can see by having the warm light on our windows and our lamp, it really just makes it all flow together. So what I'm going to do is delete some of these other rectangle lights that I've got and just use these in here. So I'm just going to copy and paste this in a couple of times so you can see now with this building, because all of the lights are the same and because they're all nice warm white lights, we're going to get a really cozy feeling. And not only that, this cozy feeling is really going to pop against our skyline that we have got here. So now that we've taken a look at that and we've seen the importance of going in and changing some of the temperatures, let's go ahead and answer some more of the questions from the audience. So this is not a live stream, it's a light stream. I love that. That's a really good one. Keep up with those awesome comments. So another question is, what generation Threadripper have I got? I am rocking a Threadripper 1950X, I believe, which is 16 cores but with 32 threads. So that's another little question there. Do you work with post-processing volumes to create a night scene? Yes, I do. That is absolutely something that I'm going to be doing, Antonia. Post-processing is probably one of the final elements that we are going to be doing with this. I'd also like to take a moment to say thank you to everyone that is new to this stream. I can see that we've currently got 120 people watching this live stream live, which is awesome. So welcome to everyone. Antonia, PXXX, Duckes, Backer, Prescott, Rishi, Kiwi, again, thank you all for watching this live stream. So now that we have seen how we can do that, let's take a look at how we can use post-processing to add some of the finishing touches to the lighting for this stylized environment that we've got. So if we go in, what we're going to look for is a post-processing volume. If you haven't got one already, what we can do is just add one. So just drag and drop this into your scene. And then with this, this is how our level looks by default without any post-processing at all. If I select my post-processing volume, I can go in and I can start to change some of the values. So with this volume, the first thing that I'm going to do is make sure it covers our whole environment. So I'm going to set our scale to 1000, 1000, and 1000 for now. Or you can also set this to unbound. But what I'm going to do is go straight over to my global and my gamma and my contrast. And what I can start doing is going in and changing these colors. So if you want to add a bit of a warm touch, that is something that you can do. If you want to add a bit of a cooler touch, this is also something you can do. All you've got to do is just really start to adjust these feelings. Now, a good one for getting yourself that stylized look is adjusting your color grading for your gamma. So that is what I've just done there to sort of give it this overall blue tone that you can see. So let me go ahead and show you what it looks like without that post-processing and with it. So off and on, off and on. So it's going to keep all of these warm lights that we've got because they're using color temperature, which is really important. But it's really going to tie together our scene because we're going to have that blue color everywhere. I'd also like to say welcome to Evan for tuning into the stream, and also welcome to Stuntman, Christian, and SYX for tuning in. Again, for all of your new guys that have just joined this live stream, I would really appreciate it if you go ahead and drop a like on this video. Like I said earlier, it just helps us get discovered. It helps people see more courses and more live streams just like this. So as you can see here, we have now really started to pull together our scene with this gamma. One other setting that I want to take a look at is our shadows. Our shadows, what I want to do with these is give them a bit of a tint as well, because I want to bring this further into this sort of stylized look. So I want to add a little bit more blue in there. So having said that, let's go in, let's go to our shadows, and we're going to go straight to our gamma. And with this gamma, what I can do is open this up, and what you're going to see there, as I change these, our shadows, we can add a tint. So the tint color for our shadows that I'm going to be using here is a very strong blue. And the reason for this is because if I go really strong on the blues or a certain color, it is going to make those shadows feel dark, but not too dark. And because we have got some very bright lighting in the scene where we've got quite even lighting, we want to make sure that there is some elements like the fog and that kind of stuff that is sort of going to give it this dark, wonderful feeling that we've got. So there is loads of other settings that we can look at for our stylized environments, but just looking at the global and the shadows is going to be some of the things that can really tie this together. The next thing that I want to take a look at inside of this is going in and changing our bloom. A lot of stylized environments are going to have a lot of bloom. Our lights, our emissives, they're really going to be popping. So let's go ahead and change that. So if we go into our post-processing, we are going to search for our bloom. We're going to go to our intensity, and what we can do is turn this up and down to really make our lights pop. Now what you're going to notice is as you turn this up, we're going to notice that a lot of our scene is also going to get brighter, which is not something that we want really. So having said that, we need to make a couple of changes, that being the threshold. So if we turn our threshold down, a lot of our natural light isn't going to get lit, and that way we're then going to have a bit more control over this bloom. And if we wanted to, we can even go past this value of 8 that we have got here, which is really awesome. So if we go to our intensity, we set this to a value like 50, you can see we have now got some nice bright lights in our stylized environment. You're going to notice that this is something you're going to see in a lot of references. If this is too much, by all means, you can turn it down. And one thing that you can also do with your decorative assets like this is you can go into the material editor and you can actually change this. So having said that, this is a really good point for our lighting. So I'm going to go ahead and press build, and if you guys are following along with this tutorial, whether it be live or you're watching it later on, make sure you save this. You do not want your Unreal Engine 4 to crash on you. So while that is building, I'm going to pop in for a couple more questions in the chat here. So first of all, one thing I can see is we're currently at 95 likes on this live stream. There is currently 122 people watching. Let's see if we can get this like to watch ratio up. If you can guys all give this a like, I would really appreciate it. If you can share this live stream too, that would be really great, as I'm really pushing at the moment to really help out the community and get some really cool content out there. Because in my opinion, the Unreal Engine community is really lacking in things like advanced lighting tutorial stuff where I'm looking at how you can actually create a stylized scene. Because a lot of tutorials out there, they teach you how to use lights, but they don't teach you how you can use them in conjunction with your fog and your post-processing to really pull a light together. So this is almost done. So let's go ahead and go through some of those questions now I have approached that. Is this a real live or is it premiering? This is a real live stream. Everything that you can see happening right now, this is live. This is me, I'm right here. It is currently 43 minutes past midnight for myself over in Great Britain. I've got another question here. Can you make a stream like this every week or once in a month? If this is something that you guys want to see more of, let me know. But for now, I am currently planning on doing more live streams. And again, live streams like these are made possible by my supporters over on Patreon. So if you want to support the channel, like I said, go ahead and check out the link in the description. So our lighting has just finished building here. And if we go into this, because we've just built this, there is going to be some slight changes there. But for now, this is looking really nice. So because we have got those shadows in our post-processing, our buildings have got a little bit darker, which is really, really nice. But again, we are now going to have to go in here and change some things. So some of those being our skylight, just because we don't want it to be this dark. So we're going to set our intensity, or rather what I'm going to do just to get a bit of moonlight, instead of a skylight, I'm going to turn this up to a nice solid 0.8 instead. But for now, this is pretty much my lighting for our level set up. If you guys want to follow along with getting all of your lights to look exactly the same, so if you, I changed the color temperature of this one, and I also changed the way that our lights are looking for our color and temperature and all of that good stuff. You can to really add that continuity in there. So just go ahead and try and match the colors. And also one thing I do want to mention is that when you are matching colors, especially for point lights, don't go super saturated like this, because this is going to stick out like a sore thumb. It's not going to feel natural at all. What you want to do is have a nice subtle color just like that. So I have just had one question here, which is, how do you add stars into the background? If you want to add stars into the background, you are going to need a skybox for this. So you can either use your own material, or you can use a skybox, a pre-made one like BP_sky that comes with it, or even Good Sky, which is free on the Unreal Marketplace. So if I go ahead and drag and drop this into my scene here, I can go and do that. And over in the right hand side, you can see I've got loads of presets, and one that's really cool is our midnight stars. And just like that, I can bring my stars into my scene here, which is really, really cool. And because my moon is independent of our skybox, and I've got it inside of there, we're going to be able to see this on top. And our directional light is not linked to our skybox at all either. So having said that, we can have all of this and just add the skybox on top there, which is really, really awesome. So hopefully that should help you out with that question. So that is, for most part, our lighting done. There is loads more that you guys can do. One of the most important elements, especially for stylized levels, is not having too many bright lights in the skyline here. As you sort of start to move this around and you get to angles where there isn't any of these, you're going to get really nice looking scenes that look just like that. So for now, this is absolutely everything that I wanted to show you for our light, and we're going to be moving on to the next section of this live stream, which is our question and answer session. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and move into this. So if you guys have any questions, by all means fire away. I'm going to be answering questions for the sort of the next 12-15 minutes, answering anything that you like. Also, 141 people watching this live stream. That is absolutely incredible. Thank you to everyone that is following this. So let's go ahead and go through some of these questions that we've got here. So we've got some people saying good night. I can't tell if that's a reference to the scene that we've got going on, which is cool. But at the same time, I do appreciate it is quite late for some people. So good night to everyone that is signing on. And also, everyone is welcome to stick around as well for us to go in here and answer some of these questions. Also, I've just had a question, or not a question, but a statement. Someone's just said, nice studio, Virtus. It is a little bit difficult to see it in this lighting. It is not overly massive, but essentially what I've got is this area here, which is not that big, but it's plenty for my desk setup. So I have got my desk in front of the camera here that you can't see, and then I've got a little bit of space, and there's some more stuff like a television. I've got another desk setup that I use for another computer when I'm rendering, because this one just isn't that great when I'm rendering. So I can go onto there, I can hop on and I can do that. I've also got a whole bunch of camera gear and all of that stuff all sort of stored away, which is really awesome. If you guys would like to see more of the studio with it all lit up and bright, just let me know in the comments and I will definitely do that. So a question here is how you can make a good looking beach fading into a city like GTA. So a lot of that is going to be to do with your lighting and your fog. You want to have your lighting and your fog sort of smooth into each other, and you want to sort of make the watercolor be very similar to the fog so it fades nice and smooth. So that's a really important thing. You can also change your water material. Unreal Engine 4 has also just added a water feature which is going to allow you to really manipulate the way that your water is going to look with your color, your acoustics, your wave size, and even your foam. If you guys want me to check out the water tool and show it off in this channel, by all means let me know. I have already got some plans to dedicate some time to it next month, but I'm more than happy to sort of bring this forwards. I'm currently just waiting on Unreal Engine to flesh out this tool a little bit more to get rid of any bugs and kinks that are in there. So another little statement here, you need some more RGB stripes. I have actually got loads of RGBs in this office. So I've got my TV with RGBs over here. My desk is coated with them. So I have actually got a speaker stand on either side with LED strips, which is pretty awesome. But I can't move my camera, it is a DSLR that's plugged in as a webcam, which is how I get this awesome quality, how I can get this wide angle. If I was to show you the normal angle of a webcam or a camera, well, it's kind of small. It's not a big space, so having this really helps out, but I do have RGBs absolutely everywhere. Purple, greens, and blues, they are my sort of favorite colors for this. Another question that I've just got here from Stuntman is, are more Blender tutorials coming? Yes, absolutely. I'm going to be uploading more Blender tutorials later this week, sort of covering more create objects. So the next object I'm going to be creating is a low poly shield. So you're going to learn some more modeling techniques while we create that. And not only that, we're also going to be looking at some fundamental techniques in our core Blender series as well. So the next video I've got lined up for that is our object editing mode. So that's going to be taking a look at some of the different tools, how we can edit faces, vertexes, lines, and all of that good stuff. So stay tuned for that. There is plenty more on the way. Another question is, what kind of software did you use for the buildings? So these models that you saw in that scene there, they were not built by me. They were built by our team on Embervein. Most of the models for that is going to be built between 3ds Max or Maya, and then they're textured in Substance. Substance is going to allow you to set up some layers and some really nice materials and really quickly paint those onto the scene. I don't really do too many advanced modeling tutorials just yet, or texturing tutorials rather. If that's something that you guys want to see, just let me know. But my trade in game development is more managerial and production, but I do a lot of programming and level design as well. But if you guys want me to sort of take a look into more of the 3D modeling kind of thing, just let me know and I can see what I can arrange. There we go, there is the question on the Substance stuff. Like I said, if that's something that you guys want to learn, I can definitely look at that. It is something that I'd have to learn myself. I've got a little bit of experience in there, but not too much. Do I know someone that has a Substance tutorial? I don't have too many recommendations on that just yet. One guy that you want to check out is MR3D. He is our modeler on the Embervein team. He also has a YouTube channel. It's MR3D hyphen dev. He's got a whole bunch of Quixel and Megascan and Substance tutorials that you guys can definitely go ahead and check out. Okay guys, this is going to be me for the end of the stream. Thanks again for everyone that has tuned in. There is 160 people watching us live, which is absolutely incredible. I am so glad that you guys have enjoyed this live stream, you stuck around, you followed, and hopefully you've also taken a lot of stuff away from this. So, having said that, if you have got any further game dev questions, you have got two routes. First and foremost, you can go over to our Discord server. The link for this is in the description. There is over 5,000 other game developers in there. That's everything. Animators, programmers, game designers, level designers, all sorts. If you have any game dev questions, go ahead and join into this Discord server and you can get stuff like that. I'm also going to be doing another live stream in the next couple of weeks. I don't have a date for this just yet, but it is going to be within the next 2 weeks. If there is demand for more live streams like this, I can make them more regular. It's not a problem. And I'd also like to say thank you to everyone that has stuck around, including the technical difficulties at the beginning of the stream. It is a learning experience for myself just as much as it is for you guys, sort of taking the game development stuff away from this as well. But for now, guys, that is absolutely everything for my live stream. Thank you for watching. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe to this, and don't forget to share as well. But for now, have a good day. Stay awesome. Keep creating. Virtus signing out.